I heard about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be playing at such a legendary club. It's a good lineup on tonight, and it's filling up nicely.
Drum and bass has been on an uprise of late. I mean, the nights already running in Dublin are getting more popular. The artists themselves are getting more popular on the internet day by day.
I have a residency at the moment for Renegade Noise down the Twisted Pepper. That's a monthly night, and doing a radio show on Radio Lifa every Wednesday night as well. So things are going grand.
Drum and bass in particular, I think it's on a huge uprise. I think in the next 6 to 8 months you're going to see a lot more drum and bass becoming prominent.
I'll probably play a bit more mellower stuff to start off with to get people into the vibe, you know. It's a new club, new venue. It's an excellent advertisement for the music that a new club, a legendary club like The Kitchen, obviously they had some serious drum and bass nights here years ago, like, you know, and they're still acknowledging the fact that there's a scene there and there's people that are willing to come out to these nights, you know.
The DJ slot. What happened?
Yeah, the birth and death of the night in one fell swoop. But the people up above decided that the music was not what they wanted in their venue.
Yeah, the gig's just been pulled, man. I can't believe it. Like, it's annoying, like frustrating, really. The owner supposedly doesn't like dubstep or drum and bass, so I don't know what to say, really. I'm disappointed.
Unfortunately, Mark, after teething issues with the venue anyway,
I got here and there were no needles with the decks, which was annoying. But so I went home in a taxi to get my needles.
And poor Mark had to run home and get his needles because I forgot to pick them from home.
And then I come here, play 3 records, and the gig gets pulled.
I do see that it's been underestimated since I first knew about drum and bass. I've seen it develop from acid house to hard to jungle to drum and bass, you know what I mean? I've seen the whole development, and yeah, there is a specific attitude against drum and bass, but the one thing that has given it the longevity is that it can survive with or without media, you know, attention, without the love of the public, you know? It's always got a strong hardcore following, and it's so versatile and incorporates so many different styles of music within its sample base, within its influence, that it's always going to attract people. And go to a festival and tell me which is the best 10. It's always drum and bass, man. That's where the energy's at.
Do you think the drum and bass scene is underestimated in this country?
It would be if the man on the fucking street knew where to fucking find it and knew of its fucking existence. Yeah, people underestimate the lengths to which people will actually go to fucking provide people with the drum and bass fucking scene in the first place. People underestimate the amount of bullshit you have to endure just to find a venue that'll let you play your records out loud. People underestimate the amount of bullshit you have to go through even to fucking get a record to fucking buy in this country. Never mind sell, buy, you know?
Especially in the early days when we were playing drum bass. No one liked drum bass. Everyone's just like, that's the dirt of dance music. You know, techno and house was, we can understand that because couldn't understand drum bass, whatever. There was that. But yeah, you know, that was quite funny. We were looked on as the dirty cousin of dance music.
Dirty cousin of dance music. He's on to something. But you know what? I grew up in a big family, I had a lot of cousins. You know? The dirty cousins, right? Dirty cousins were always the ones you ended up going for a fucking spliff for behind your grandmother's gaff at a large family gathering. They were the ones who stayed up the fucking latest. They were the ones with the coolest stories. They were the ones that gave you the fucking mixtape cassettes back when you were fucking 14 years old, living in like Ballygo fucking backwards.
do remember distinctly playing one of my all-time favourite tracks at the time, called The Dark Crystal by DJ Crystal, which is a huge, epic monster of a tune. And playing that at the end of the night, not really quite knowing how to mix it yet, but playing that at the end of the night, thinking this is the biggest good, bullet in my gun here, and just it gone down like a lead balloon to about 3 people, and just thinking, is this as good as it gets? Is this it? Like, can it not get any better than this? Surely it has to get better than this, But so that was the first one, yeah. And fortunately, we persevered.
And this is why we lost the money, because, as I said, we didn't have business skills. I naively thought if I put on a night, and put a few posts up, people would come, That was very naive. We got the 30x40s. The 30x40s are the posters around town. The big ones. They have them everywhere still. You had to pay to get them. You had to pay to get sites up. And again, the politics thing came into it, because my posters didn't go up in time. I was a small promoter. They didn't really care.
You put a poster up, and people, like, Dublin would have been just thriving for it. People were just everywhere looking for gigs. It's always been a great gig town, always. So
you got your big posters, which cost a fortune to get. Again, this is the point that I'm trying to make. It was so difficult, we had to really, really, really want to do it, because it was so difficult for us, A, to actually get money to put on a night, B, to get a venue. Like, I'm talking, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks ringing venues, trying to see managers, will you give me Thursday night, will you give me a night 7 months in advance, who are you, you're just some kid, no, ringing DJs, will you play for us, no, we'll ring you back. It was just like bang your head off the wall stuff. So
it wasn't hard. You put a poster up, and you were guaranteed in the early days at least 3 or 4 people would turn up, guaranteed it. But then after a few years of hard work, then and you start getting over.
But I had this shit for about 2 years. I think after Ross had gone away, I think before I met you, really, just in Dublin, and literally I knew about like 2 other people who listened to Jungle or who played it, something like that,
Never.
And I'm sure there were more, but there was just no way of connecting with them, literally,
When we were doing the monthly gigs, we had to do the big posters, the posters you see on the side of the roads. You had to do that, and between that and the radio was brilliant for it. That was the way to do it. Also handing out flyers outside clubs, you didn't have forums, so that just wasn't part of it at all.
And the promoting thing, like, the way you text in the fax in the event guide, they put it in their listings. The event guide always came out, still around, I think, and they had all the listings of gigs. We get a write up if you're lucky. You fax it into the Hot Press and 1 or 2 other magazines around, so you're in listings. And then it was all flyers and posters. So you'd get a lot of flyers. You did a flyer when you went around all the shops, Tag Records, all the record shops, and you dropped flyers, and you have to keep doing it every day, because people just put flyers on top of them. People would fuck them out. You had to get posters, so you stick your posters up in shops like that. You come back 2 hours later, someone would put it over it. People would be ripping them down. The only posters that wouldn't be ripped down were the 30x40s, which were £2.50 per site per week. You know what I'm talking about. They still have them. The posters on the side of the wall around town for gigs.
I had another couple of abortive attempts to do nights, and they never really worked out, because especially if you were trying to play new sound in Dublin at the time, you had to have a venue that was good enough to attract people of itself. And the only places that were willing to chance doing a night playing something weird like Jungle would just usually be Kips anyway. And people in Dublin being the way they weren't going to go to a place that was a Kip, because the most important thing was where you were going, not what you were listening to.
To me, a couple of posters not going up with that was bankrupting, because that was like, I only had one shot to do a big gig with all this money and make money off it. And if you lose money on one gig, which we did, the Johnny L thing, and a part of it was mismanagement and bad business, but that was it, bankrupt once, because that was the only budget that I had. This bank loan, working in a shop, working in a Siemens next door for earning £120 a week. Do you know what I mean? Trying to pay back a bank loan of £3 grand. Forget about it.
Kenny and Kevo came along.
Johnny L, remember?
Yeah, they did a gig in the Francis Street venue. What's that?
Andrews Lane,
yeah. Johnny L, the Kenny and Kevo, Lux Recordings, is it, or something? Lux, what do they call it? Lux?
The Lex Crew.
Lex,
yeah.
The Luxembourgs. They totally loved their Jungle. They were the sort of dudes that we just wanted to hang out with. Really just grew up, didn't get, put off by anything, were just totally into their music, and they caned that style of music that they played as well.
Yeah, no,
they fucking caned it. They totally owned that
the
sound.
rollers.
Yeah.
Like even to this day, drum and bass is still a small scene, you know, and it's a niche market. You know, a lot of club owners would look down on you, and if you weren't getting the numbers in, especially the problem is with drum and bass and jungle is that, you know, you need a Friday or Saturday night, and getting a Friday or Saturday night in a venue in Dublin is very hard. In any city is very hard.
Promoters were generally, they weren't young guys like Rowan when he started running Switch. A lot of them didn't know anything about, you know, underground music, electronic music, nor did they want to have anything to do with it. They just spelled trouble to them. So when you try to get a venue to do a night of this drum and bass music, they kind of go, don't know the sound of that, you know. You say you're bringing off a UK DJ, a big DJ from London, you know, and people are going to come, they see dollar signs and they go, yeah, okay. So that's another thing about doing clubs now. You could go to any of these venues. The promoters generally, the guys who run the clubs generally, you know, they know the music, so they go, oh, they won't be scared off by saying I want to do a dubstep night or drum and bass night. So that was another difficulty.
So what were you talking average outlay for a big gig, a big monthly gig in terms of promotion?
I think it was €2,000. You had kind of, that was your costs.
See, MCD were the big promoter, they still are, and basically they not only were the big promoter, but they kind of actually owned most of the venues and managed most of the venues. So when you went to try and get a venue, it was like, well, who are you? Do you know what I mean? You couldn't just go, I want this. You could get little things like we got, but sure, you know what I mean? No one wanted to go to them.
You know, the owner has to think about his takings and his income and his door charge, and you know, so if there's only 150 people coming into a 300 capacity venue, what might seem decent crowd to us is a per night for them, you know.
I was born in Ireland. Parents were born in Ireland. Moved out to Southern California, a town called Palm Springs, about 2 hours outside of LA, and had a pretty normal suburban childhood. You know, went to a normal school. Parents were always around. You know, it's pretty good.
My childhood is fairly normal, I'd say, just like anyone else. But it's very quiet in this house anyway, because I was an only child. It's just the three of us here, very quiet, so you know, I got used to my own company a lot, do you know what I mean? I never had any brothers and sisters to sort of have a laugh with, so I kind of had to use my imagination a lot, do you know what I mean? And I'd always be kind of like watching movies and acting things out and just messing about, really.
Yeah, I first grew up in Limerick, then Tipperary, then Clare, so I moved around a bit. So I suppose I never really settled anywhere. So in that sense, probably took me a while to find my feet.
Well, I grew up in two places. I grew up in Coolock originally in Priorswood, up until I was 8, and then I was shipped off to Malahide and I grew up there then. Same places after I moved.
When I was quite young, the Troubles were still, you know, quite in full force back then. And you know, with bombs and whatever, and there was a big British Army presence around, which sort of, you know, you grew up wondering why are they here, and you know, searching you in the street and stuff like that. But as you get older, like, obviously when I went away when I was 18, and you know, you start to appreciate different cultures more.
What did my family think about it? Really, I mean, apart from the fact that I lost $3 grand and had to beg my dad to go guarantor for a loan, you know, when he advised me against it. That was just I told you so, but that's it really, I don't know. I mean, it was coming and going a lot around that time, do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, didn't really comment on it too much. Say they had any particular opinions on it really, you know, it's just what I did, you know what I mean?
If it's what you're happy doing, you know, it doesn't matter how much money you're making off it really, you know. Money doesn't buy happiness, as they say.
Our old man, both our outfits were quite similar, I think, you know, weren't really around. They were there, like, you know, so it is that they were there, but they weren't really there. There's no, like, I'm a dad now, and I would just not get away with it, you know what I mean? I would not get away with the shit my old man got away with, like. So, my mammy was the one who brought me up.
Yeah, my parents were always around. They were both raised in Ireland, so they kept a real close-knit, you know, and yeah, I was really close to them.
I was born in Rotunda, lived on Blessing Street, the relocation program in the 80s, tried to get everybody out of the inner city because heroin was rife. It was just a mess, and we got into that program, moved out to Cardiff, and Cardiff was this stretch of land, lovely, like green area, but there was no like bus. You know, they got people from Ballymun and Ballyfermot and Finglas, and just everybody from town dropped into Cardiff.
So I had a bunch of vinyl, and then just through knowing Ross in the shop, and he said, hey, there's a slot on the station, and I was the main guy, probably one of the main guys coming in to buy tunes from him, so he knew how much I liked it. We liked the same sort of stuff, so he said, let's just go to the radio station.
I started collecting rave tapes when I was 16, 17, and then I started going out to raves when I was 17. They were called raves back then, really. But in Derry, like, jungle drum and bass hadn't really taken off that much. This was around 1991, 1990.
I started going to my first gigs when I was about 14 or 15, just because it was the place where you could go, where it was all ages. And it was usually like a hip-hop gig or like a trance gig, something like that. Usually a house party with a microphone and a pair of decks.
Just the first sort of bassline music that I got into would have been Prodigy, Jill the Generation.
Well, my brother used to cane a lot of stuff when I was younger, like he was into Guns N' Roses and stuff originally, like, but then like when Cotton Prodigy and all that came around, he used to listen to all that. So like ever since then, really, like all that early 90s kind of like I wouldn't have been exposed to anything really kind of underground or anything, like, you know, with all the stuff that was banging around. Everybody was listening to like Prodigy and Ultrasonic and bits and pieces of old hardcore and stuff like that were banging around. Like.
I went over to London to see my sister, who was really involved in jungle music and all. So yeah, I went to a big One Nation party it was. So it's just mind blowing just to hear music like that at that level of sound, and just seeing the production and all, is just blown away.
First encounter with drum and bass and jungle was in Krakow in Poland when I started college. This was the first time when I actually went to a drum and bass night, and I fell in love with it from the first time. I just think the beats suited me for dancing. I just danced all night and I loved it.
Went to, there was one day I went to Tower Records actually. This was in around 95, 96, and they put on, there was just silence actually, there was no music on at all, and then suddenly the first track from LTJ Bookham's Logical Regression just came, you know, on so loud, like, and it just hit me. It was that Demon's theme song, and I just went, wow, this is unbelievable. And I just went straight to kind of, what the hell is this? Give me this.
The internet wasn't around, obviously, you know what I mean? So we couldn't just get on and buy tunes or hear what was coming out. We used to find out what was coming out, you know, from listening to pirate radio, listening to tunes. We just filter through, you know, much more old school way of finding out about stuff, you know.
I think I had like a $5 a week that I could buy one record, so it's a world of difference between kind of Sunny Knolls or the, you know, kind of dance halls of my parents' generation and what happened when rave kicked in. So, you know, there's a bit of a chasm of understanding, I suppose, between the two. They vaguely knew it was probably associated with something to do with drugs, or suspected it might be, you know. So that was a bit, but I think they certainly knew it with me. I was the only one in my family really to get into rave or dance music, but they knew. I was a little bit older as well, I suppose, you know, early 20s or whatever, so I know they knew as well that I very soon got into the music side of it, you know.
Mine wouldn't have had a clue. They were just like, yeah, you're happy? And I was like, yeah, great. So that was the main thing. They knew I was involved in music, they knew I was a music nut.
Triple A would be my favourite, yeah, and then Rohan.
What, is it because of the shirt, Willie? Is that why you don't want to show your face?
Seeking dedicated follower of.
This is the Triple A, the legendary Triple A.
Style advisor to all of Facebook.
Yeah, fucking do's and don'ts.
records and useless junk.
Give us an example.
Of useless junk?
Yeah.
Well, there's the entire content of this room for a start. Like, I find it really hard to throw stuff out. Like, underneath that bed is also full of stuff I just shoved under there before you came. Like,
so this isn't the room's normal state, right?
This is the neatest this room's been since I moved in. I think like I was always kind of picking up bits and pieces of vinyl all over the place. Like my dad was a big record collector. He always had lots of records in the house. Like, and he saw pretty early on that I had kind of big interest in music. So like he used to. In fact, out of me and my older and then my older brother and sister, I was the only one that was actually allowed to touch the records. Like,
what do you know about his vinyl collection?
There's a lot of it. There's a room full of it.
Yeah, like a few thousand records. So even if you're talking average value of €4 records, you're talking, so say maybe 4 or 5,000, and then add on to that as well. Like I said, a lot of them will be worth a lot more than that. So yeah.
And add on to that as well, your equipment.
Equipment of it as well. Yeah, like I'd say you're talking well over 10,000.
If you could flog his collection, would you spend the money on?
I wouldn't. I'd probably flog some of the stuff though, because
yeah.
some of it can go away. But like that wouldn't be enough to go around the world. But I'd definitely go to like France or something.
Definitely go to France and like 30 records. Like. I mean, I could have maybe been a little bit more financial savvy about it all, like, you know, but like, nah, like, got no regrets at all. Like, I started buying a lot of vinyl when I started working. Like, maxed out one credit card, like, still paying that off.
Give your gavels and fire and you had opportunity just to grab something, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know.
It's
cat, actually.
Yeah,
cat.
Usually kind of sit beside the desk, I'll have a stack of the records I've been playing recently, which are usually my favourite records. I'd probably just grab that and put it running out of the house, like, fuck everything else, man.
Luke, Batman, Eagle, the X-Work Streams and the Adidas tops and the fucking, 93 to 94 jungle vinyl, but the man's it on. There's a wireless, if there's a needle skipping, I'm the sort of guy who throws his fucking head up and legs over this way, Someone fix it, That someone is always fucking Luke. It's skill, he's a back in the 90s they used to call people like him technicians, and I'm pretty sure that being the 90s man that he is, he'd appreciate that word being applied to him,
Jesus, that was making it, playing for bass, playing to a couple hundred people, at the best club in Dublin at the time, supporting Marky as like, fucking here I am, 21, this is it, you know what I mean? This is the business. It was a great achievement, for me at the time, because I put everything on hold, you know what I mean? Like, left school, working in a crap job, dropped out of college, all because this was what I wanted, and lived and breathed drum and bass 24/7, That's all we did. Play records, play parties, play on the radio, try and get gigs, try and get mailing lists, record labels. That's it. That was all it was, all the time.
I was so hyper and drunk, I ran around the whole campsite going, it's me, I'm on now, it's Gaffa, you've got to come to this tent, it's going to be brilliant. It was only like 6:30, 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening, but I had the tent packed. I don't know how I did it. The tent was packed and I never ever felt that buzz before.
My first gig was in, it's now called Murray's, it was called Fraser's at the time. It was a friend of mine, Richie, and gave it to me. Completely on the whim, I was only DJing, I think it was about 6 or 7 months, that's what it was like. And just got chatting to Usher sessions and stuff, and he was putting on gigs there and he was nice enough to give me one. It was disastrous, like, but it was grand, it was good fun, it was a good experience, like.
Is this it? Is there one person listening? Where just so many people are bouncing up and down, the mixes just are going really well. The tunes just were just made for each other. People jumping with beers, giving me beers and cigarettes and joints and whatnot, and a couple of people on their knees going, we're not worthy. That was the most amazing. I nearly creamed my pants that day. Like, it was just so many people, the tent was packed.
But it's usually any time you kind of just get lost in what you're doing as a DJ, you know what I mean? And you think enough of the crowd are lost with you in that moment. That's a great memory to have,
I was playing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, finishing up the last slot. And I started off and I managed to get a couple of people onto the dance floor after a few tunes. And by the end of the night, after a 2-hour kind of marathon, everybody in that room was on the dance floor dancing and really going mad and absolutely beaming, smiling back up at me, and I was smiling at them. And I had played my favourite tune in the entire world, which is Doc Scott remix of Chemistry. I played that last, and I have to say it was one of the most special moments in my life ever.
The Rowan and Ross gave me my first gig, which I'm grateful for, I have to say. I was very nervous. I was very young, I was only like 18 or something like that, and I wasn't sure how to, I don't know, fit in, I guess. I was kind of very intimidated by it, because I kind of saw these guys as kind of like, and they are, they're fantastic DJs. But yeah, I didn't know how to act around them, and when I'd finished my set, I just left. I thought that's what you did. You know what I mean? And I was just, yeah, and then I got a call from Rohan the next day, going, man, where the hell did you go, man? You just left, but we didn't have money for you, you didn't get paid. And I was like, oh, right, so I had to stick around after these things and sort of appreciate the other DJs. Oh, I didn't know what I was thinking. You know, I was just been really, just a young, stupid guy, you know.
Yeah, I can see that being a bit of nerves, and you know, just going, oh my god, I can't hang around here, kind of thing. Yeah. It's like zero tolerance. Asked paying me to put him on the guest list because he was, I think he was 16 3/4 at the time, and we had to make sure he got into the gig. But yeah.
My favourite gig when I played was in the Twisted Pepper upstairs for I don't know, I think 3 years ago, when I played a jungle set, and I just loved it, really loved it. I really enjoyed myself that night. That was for Derek as well.
Before you're DJing, and maybe more so in the early days, in the 5 minutes before you played, what's going through your mind?
Oh, I got a drink.
We got a drink. Am I gonna puke?
Depending
on the size of the audience.
Yeah, no.
But usually, after a while, it became, what disappointment do I need to prepare myself for now?
Best set, probably to the best crowd, would have been Light Festival 2007 in the Breakology tent. About 1,000 people. The tent was rammed, and it was a massive stage, and it was the most enjoyable gig I played, and the set was bang off as well.
Certainly more nervous.
If you're
more
not
nervous during the day.
If you're not thinking about it, that's when you know you're getting into it. You know, then when you actually start doing it, and if you're not thinking about it, it's probably going well. So that's the kind of state of mind you want to get into, I think.
It sort of happened. Well, I was doing nights with my friends, like locally where I lived, you know. So they were just like mixed nights. Like some of the lads are into hip hop and like techno, and then myself and me mate Jack were like mad into drum and bass. So that's where we started mixing and putting on nights and clearing floors in the local dance hall.
So that's where you got your first taste of it locally.
Yeah, no, it's a good experience too, because again, it's just like mixing at home is great and all, but when you actually get into an environment like a club, it's totally different.
And to get that gig and just so many people, you know, enjoying the music, it was just one of the best moments, not of my life, but like just really one of the, you know, nicest moments when everybody's just together, you know, jumping up and down for decent tunes. And yeah, I'd say that was my best moment in mixing, like randomly at a Leitrim festival.
There's one night where randomly shit comes together. There was one night where Derek, Bonds and myself finished off down at Tribe, and shit just went right. The place was packed. We're loving it, you know. The Derek plays Kaya, last tune of the night, Calibre and Larry Man. You know, puts it on. If we turn around, give each other a big fucking hug, and the room starts fucking cheering. You know, that's something I won't forget in a hurry.
We both went over to Antwerp, and we just it was brilliant. We tore it up, wasn't it? It was brilliant. And I actually found a mix on the internet.
Oh yeah.
I put very narcissistic of me, where I put the AAA into Google to see if there was any shit about me, and there was nothing. There was fucking nothing. Except this, and I put Don Roscoe in, he's like raping the internet, 60,000 pages. I put AAA in, nothing. except this one mix, or NAFTA and AAA in Tiny Writing, live in Antwerp, that your man put up on the internet years ago.
Dice.
And that was it, Dice, yeah. Well, that's the only thing, like, I was like, for fuck's sake. I feel like I've been written out of fucking history. So this is my chance to put things right.
That was, actually no, it was about 2001, I remember it quite well. The gigging court was amazing because they were just having it, and then we got told to stop by this rather large bouncer.
Right.
And this only ever happens in Ireland. The whole fucking crowd in the club started singing at the bouncer, "You fat bastard," because he was trying to turn the music off. So he disappeared into the background and we played some more music. So they were really good times.
Worst gig? Yikes. I'm trying to remember now. I've never actually played a horrible gig, I'll be honest. I've kind of enjoyed all of them, do you know what I mean?
Traffic in London was the first time I played there. I played after Storm, and that was really good. She was rolling me some. She was rolling me spliffs and calming me, and she really looked after me. You know, because I was quite nervous playing in London. You know, it was like the last slot. The place was packed, but I had big tunes in my bag that day. In Ireland, I'm trying to think now. Any one of the Switch ones would have been, you know, anytime Fierce played in Switch or Metropolitan, he tore the place apart. He was an amazing DJ.
You go to a gig, the tunes would be amazing, and nobody was dancing in like unison. Everybody had their own little dance. It's like, what the fuck hell is like that? You know what I mean? Where my whole vibe was, you know, when you're in a goods and you're on the floor having a dance and you're really enjoying it, like everybody's on the same buzz, and you actually get a bit of a kick off them as well. And that didn't happen on a jungle dance floor for ages.
Well, yeah, playing drum and bass to like people that are dancing to house music. So they're like doing their typical house dance or pumping their tires, as I like to call it, and then like you drop a drum and bass tune and it's like.
Show us that, what are you doing that then? Just do that then.
It didn't. Yeah. The people were trying to dance with the fucking drums, and they were like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, there was. But I mean, but the period before that,
people doing like ballet stuff, running around, jumping up and down.
The period before that, they just didn't dance at all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
so they didn't dance at all, and they literally didn't actually know how to.
That's
it's amazing.
The head-wrecking bit. Yeah.
No, I never understood that.
I know. And then one day, they totally got it.
It's just insane.
Everybody went, "Fuck, this is how you dance!" And we're like, great, and the place just went off.
Hi, I'm Rohan. I used to run Bassbin Records, Bassbin the club, and Selector Record Shop.
Yeah, through meeting him at this really freaky ass party in Rathmines, I think it was. I think it was a mate of mine. This lad had met this Congolese guy who was living with somebody else. I think it was their house. And they were having this mental party. It was a kind of party. It was like crusties at the back with their dogs in, you know, the morning light, you know, and just hordes of freaks and just a lot of them banging out really, really kind of horrible techno. And I'd done my piece earlier on to a not especially appreciative audience, and then I could see there was another guy getting up to play after this guy was playing the incredibly head-wrecking banging techno. And I was thinking, oh my God, is this going to be more of the same, you know? So I just went up to him, I was going to ask him, what are you going to play? And he's like, oh, play drum and bass, you know. I was thinking, okay, that could be good, you know. And so he's about to go on. I was just asking him, what kind of stuff are you into, you know? What producer do you like? And he said, oh I particularly like Nico Sykes.
When I started Bassbin, I'd met after a house party, you know, a little while before that. And I was playing at it, and I was playing some No U-Turn stuff, you know. And there wasn't many people playing that kind of sound at that time. And so we started talking to him, and, you know, we kind of struck up a friendship, and then the whole idea of Bassbin came out from that.
And Nico was one of my total heroes right then. The early No U-Turn stuff was just starting to happen, and it was completely the main energy in drum and bass right then. So I was just like, great.
So then, yeah, after that, I think he'd only arrived back not so long, I think, from London, where he'd been working for years, and he wanted to do something here. So he decided he had friends in the Main Fiddler, and he was going to try and do something there. And so he asked me to get involved and to be resident DJ with him at the night.
And you know, at the time, the kitchen, the gigs were, I can't remember how often they were. Maybe every 2 months, but they were absolutely packed. But they seemed to be bringing, you know, just certain kind of, you know, you had group rider and you'd hype and a lot of people. And I was looking, I suppose we were looking at the kind of new people that were coming through all the time. They were going for the established DJs, where I was getting excited about up and coming producers and up and coming labels.
Both myself and Rowan had gone to Quadraphonic looking to say, well, look, you know, we play this music, can we be the support DJs for, you know, the gigs you're putting on? Because we knew that the guys putting on the gigs, none of them were DJs and didn't really know about the music, to be honest. They, you know, some of them were into it, but they didn't really know about it, and they certainly couldn't play it.
So basically at the time, there was Quadraphonic and us, both trying to promote and put on nights in Dublin. And one of the things, I remember trying to get gigs with Quadraphonic, and they just were like, no. And we weren't getting gigs anywhere, so Basebin was an outlet to try and, you know, give people who were involved and interested in playing on Power FM, which was huge and a massive influence on the whole scene. You know, the amount of people that said, we used to listen to it on the radio, we used to get people calling, and, you know, that was a totally different type of scene, you know, where people lived listening in their bedrooms all around Dublin to drum bass that, you know, some people never heard anything like this, some people knew all the tunes. But none of us could get gigs, so we started Basebin to, you know, give ourselves an outlet for gigs.
I'd gone to a couple of gigs, and Rohan was just like, as Rohan is, he was just like this, you know, operations director, just running around, getting shit done in a very professional way. I was really struck by how professional he was. Like, it was great.
English.
Just a big English head, and you know, really kind of was getting stuff done. And then I met him, and he's like, "Yeah, all right, Molly, yeah, nice to meet you." I was going, and he's just kind of eyeballed me like that. Yeah. I'll be back in a minute. Split. Then I didn't see him again for another 3 months or something. So it was a real gradual thing with Rohan. Like, and anybody who knows Rohan knows that's. He's always sounding people out like the big London headline. And if you're there for once, he kind of picked, you know, he would have this inbuilt mechanism to just be out to deal with people who he knew he'd only see once or twice a year. And it was like, yeah. Oh, see you, man. Yeah, take it easy. They were gone, and then he knew he didn't have to deal with them again. Whereas he knew you were there around a bit longer, he'd kind of relax a little bit. And I can't really remember the very first time I met him, but he then asked me then did I want to play with Basebin, gave me a gig with Basebin. That was that.
Rohan, I mean, like, whatever you say about Rohan, it has to be said. I've discussed this with people. I don't know. Like, for all the hard work I did and other people did, he really started to switch. He really started Metropolitan. He really did so much that gave us opportunities to play. You know what I mean? Because maybe if he wasn't there, I would have promoted better. You know what I mean? Maybe, but the point is, he did do it. He did set up the label. He didn't give all these DJs avenues, you know, and he did have a record shop. So, you know, he's instrumental in the scene,
We'll meeting Rohan the day, it wasn't a big, hey, how's it going? Woo, friends for life, let's go for a pint, you know. It wasn't one of those relationships. It was kind of, are we fucking mates? You know, is it alright if I smoke in front of you?
He's a big name in drum bass, you know, it's an awful lot to, it counts for an awful lot of what happened. He's right at the centre of it, you know.
We always wanted to try and keep a focus on local DJs as much as possible, but so we knew we needed to have some kind of continuity, which is something a lot of Dublin nights never had, because we were so enthralled to the UK. The club scene, to a great extent, a lot of at various points consisted of just big name nights, you know, imported from abroad, and we both recognised that we wanted to take the focus away from that over time if we could, and bring it more onto locals doing their thing, their own version of it. So it was really a matter of trying to work towards that
from following the usual path of getting over guest DJs with occasional nights and then get it down to a local regular weekly night, hopefully sometime. But that took 3-4 years to do, between the monthly night starting off in the Midfielder and then eventually Switch, which was sort of the high point of that, with the regular night there every week.
When Rohan came up here and took over, he turned it into Switch, right? But basically, down the stairs, we used to go in. As I said, I remember the open night. I remember standing on Money, Triple A, and the open night. He was just standing downstairs, looking at each other, going, "Fuck, this is hardcore." Wow, and it was. You know what I mean? Had all the cargo nets, D1's cargo nets up at the ceiling, all posters of all the venue around. It was, instead of just being a promoter in the venue, it was like ours. Do you know what I mean? Rowan was the boss. It was ours. Like, you know, you could walk up to the door, queues down the street, just walk up like, and in you go. You know what I mean? And there was big queues like for this place.
You know, the club was a huge success. It was the best nightclub in Ireland. I think it was, in its height.
And this was Switch?
Switch, yeah.
Switch, I know we did a reunion, me and Kiva, Switch reunion. We promoted a night in here 2 years ago called 10 Years of Switch. And we played at it. And all kinds of people came to it. People who weren't even into drum and bass, because it was a brilliant night here called Sunday Central on a Sunday. We always used to go to that, which was Stefan Hoffman, Bubbles, and all these lads had a house, deep house, really good deep house. Then D1 Records had the techno on Friday or the Saturday, I can't remember which one. And you know, Simon F had the New School Breaks kind of thing going on Thursday. There was a hip hop night with Simon Milligan called Same Difference. Really was best club ever, you know what I mean?
I only really like got into it like properly when I started going to Switch, like, which is when I was about 19.
First drum and bass gig, which I think a lot of people will say on here, was in Switch, Refuge, run by Rohan and Don Roscoe. I just tried. It was very hard to persuade my mates to go, because I was the only one of them who liked drum and bass, and they were all kind of slagging me, saying, you know, no, you're going to that on your own. And I think I did go on my own once or twice. Do you know what I mean? Surely for the love of music. Do you know what I mean? But eventually I kind of got them coming along, and then when I did, my mates were kind of going, "Oh, well, now I see what you mean. This is fantastic," you know. And I'll always remember the first time in Switch when they used to wear these kind of Hawaiian shirts, almost like it was a whole sort of I don't know, it really had that drum and bass feel, a real cultural kind of feel back then. Do you know what I mean?
Earlier.
What are you talking about? You met her in Switch.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He met his wife to be in Switch.
I was on the door one night, and I was doing the guest list, and it was nobody night. It was in Switch. Nobody came in. It was dead. I was like, oh Jesus, I just want to get out of here. And then up came these two girls in kind of cocktail dresses and high heels, with their purses in their hands locked. And they go up to the door, and the bouncers were going, "No, you're not coming in here. You're just locked down your face." And this huge row started at the door. They were going, "We love drum and bass. Let us in." So when I heard that, I kind of came between the two bouncers and went, "Hang on a second." And I looked at these two girls, and like, they were just two stunning women. And we weren't used to these sort of women in Switch.
It was usually more of a sausage fest.
It was a little bit like cock only.
I have been going out to drum and bass nights for ages, and it was always packed with men.
But they were at the door, and I was like, "Oh look, there's nobody here. It's very shit. You know, you don't want to pay in. Don't tell us what we don't like. We like drum and bass." So I said, "Right, come on in." I went, "Let them in for $5 each." And she let them in for $5 each. They walked in. I stayed upstairs for about another half an hour. Then came down, and in the middle of the dance floor was my wife to be, just giving it socks in amongst all these hoodies and jeans and baggy, you know, trainers or runners, and I just went, "Oh my God, she's amazing! Look at her, she's unbelievable down there dancing in her high heels." So that was it. Went down, asked her if she wants some of me Jack Daniels, because the bar was closed, and she went no. And do you want to go out on a date? And that was that. We got married about 10 years later.
A lot of good memories down there. Yeah, that's that.
What was the high point of your career DJing?
DJing?
And DJing and promoting. And producing everything.
Well, I mean, the promoting and producing, the best part was when we got to the level where we actually were producing quality music, because, as I said, you know, we went from that stage, struggling to buy a sampler, breaking our back, up to about 2000. You know, so where we actually were in our own studio, me and Kiva were renting a place, releasing records. We had done a tune, 2 tunes for Bass Bin on Looney Tunes, and we done this tune, Fly's Gangster, with Don Roscoe. And that was when we were at our peak in terms of producing, where we could go into the studio with our equipment and make quality music, you know, because lots of people could make music, but they'd hear it and label to go, you know what I mean, mixdown's bad, samples are bad. Here was tunes that were releasable quality.
What was your favourite tune of his that himself and keep up with that?
They didn't put any out, I put them out.
Do you put it? Sorry,
Fly's Gangster. Fly's Gangster. No, do it, I'll do it.
So,
Has to be Fly's Gangster.
Fly's Gangster.
It has to. Is that, you know, even hearing Bailey playing that in, you know, in the Metropolitan and on the radio, you know, and it was just the best jump up tune, really. It got everyone going.
L Double wanted to release that tune, and Rohan wanted to release it. That was the first time anyone else. A-Sides was playing this dub play of a tune me and Kiva made called Buckaroo, which was all the cartoon samples in it. You know, we were starting to send the tunes to people. People were telling us, we were getting good feedback, you know, from people like Calibre, who was down going, I like your stuff, it's getting good. That was the high point. Rohan brought over DJs once in a while, but the fact that he didn't need it and that people come to see us play, that was brilliant. And not just that we were just playing their records, it was that we were playing, you know, our own tunes. So we were called Accident and Emergency, and all our tunes had team names, you know, we had this kind of joke element in it. And we did this tune called Buckaroo. We did a series of board game tunes. So we did Connect 4, Buckaroo, Operation. We released a tune called Operation. That was one of my favourite tunes we did.
Made the best tune that I think Bassman ever put out. Operation. Looney Tunes. I fucking love that record. Yeah. And I only listened to it recently. That's a lie. Recently as in a couple of years.
We made this tune Buckaroo, and every bar you'd have a with a, you know, little Looney Tunes cartoon sample, and it would break down in the middle and had this sample from this comedian with a phone-in show, whatever. Anyway, real sub bass going. We played that in that club, like, and people didn't know what the fuck was going on. You know, people just kind of go, "What the fuck is this?" But going mental. You know, that was another high point to hear. When you're standing in a club, standing at the back, watching people go mental to your tune that you made. You know, that's amazing feeling. We, as I said, got to the stage where we were producing records to very happy with the level, the quality of production of the tunes we were making. When we were releasing around time, we released Fly's Gangster. And then basically we lost the studio, we sold the gear, I reinvested a bit of the money in buying a computer, because I spent 6 months going around asking everyone that I knew, people whose opinions I respected on music, you know, could you make, because for years you never could make music with a computer that was good enough quality, you had to have the sample, just what, the computers weren't powerful enough. But it got to the stage where Breakage released a tune, So Vain and Bass Bin, and I heard he made that on a computer, and I heard that in the club, and if he's making that on a computer, right, well then we've crossed the level here, or else he's a genius, which I mean, he was anyway.
When I really got into the drum and bass scene, man, was after I had kind of like messed around in the rave scene, listened to the trance in the house, and kind of settled that I was really into drum and bass, and that's when I started DJing. So it was about maybe a year or two into me getting really, really into music and going to gigs that I find my drum and bass and start DJing that. Favorite piece of technology would have to just be, honestly, the internet. As a promoter, I have to say the internet and the way podcasts are going, the way internet promotions are going, Facebook, MySpace, all those things. It's a way you can connect to people where you don't have to talk to them every day. You can preach to an audience, and if you're, if people can believe you, they will listen. So yeah, I did my normal day-to-day Friday. I was in work for a little bit. Usually my artists come in around late afternoon, so we went to the airport around 5 o'clock, picked up Wilkinson, his flight got in at 6. Everything's been going to plan. We took him to his hotel, had a drop-off. We do our normal like pre-party dinner. Had dinner, me, Wilkinson, AK, most of our boys from out of town, I gotta look after them. Took them to dinner, had a bit of, a drink or two, came to the venue, set up, everything went to plan. There was a little bit of mix-up in the in how the stages were set up, but all in all, the show, like I said, always goes on.
We tell them no, you're not ready for this, for the A to the K there, but I guess it's wild, I'm like that. Again like this, watch out about the mic and I'm a concrete, one big time out and on the business. When I pick out the mic and I'm a smash hit. We got the mic and I'm a rinse him on them, but I might check 1, 2, 3. I'm not hard to see, follow by the way.
This is your first time in Ireland, what's your impression so far?
I love it. It's not what I expected. It's green, it's nice women, nice friendly people. Yeah, it's great. It's a great place. I love it.
You have a record label. What's its name?
Ancient Ways.
Ancient Ways, and how's that going?
Great, yeah. Well, we've sold out about 3/4 of the first release, so we're just kind of just biding our time. Obviously, my partner in crime, Mr. Steve Tierney, is away at the moment, so I'm not really doing much with it because he is, after all, the mouthpiece of things.
Ancient Ways is our baby. It's not something I've ever really fucking discussed before, it's just like something we do, It's over there. It doesn't belong to be over there. It's not a record for fucking grimy cities, basements, concrete. It's a record for something else. We're on more of fucking Queen Maeve and watery-eyed lads fucking singing a song at the L Flat Hill type buzz,
I'm Mr. Logistics, so Steve does all the talking as far as I'm concerned.
How did you promote Ancient Ways?
Promote is a pretty fucking strong word for what we did, to be honest. I mean, people knew the tunes, I mean, Blues VIP, legendary beat. Another Way, the Partridge tune as well, incredibly strong. It had been around dubplate circles for a number of years, and as soon as the word got around that a couple of Irish heads were stupid enough to, go 100% DIY with no distro, knocking out 200 hand-numbered fucking copies. There was enough of a market for it for that to make sense.
What brings you here tonight?
Just a couple of my mates playing and fucking I like drum and bass.
Definitely drum and bass.
Just drum and bass.
Honestly, the first record I ever bought was Lupe Fiasco's Kick Push remix, drum and bass remix.
The first tune I ever bought was this Future Sound London, My Kingdom, and I think it's absolutely still holds up today.
Well, the first vinyl I bought was probably the Dead Kennedys or something like that. The first drum and bass vinyl I bought was most likely rubbish.
I bought my first record when I was 9, and that would have been Madness. I think, yeah, Madness. And then I got into the specials and the beat, and I collected all the two-tone stuff. And then after that, I went back into Jamaican ska, And this is like when I was 13, 14, 15, I started buying records.
Came across a CD single, remember then, of Goldie's Angel, That led to fucking finding out who the fuck metalheads were, or what metalheads was. Finding out who Goldie was, book him, logical progression stuff. At that stage I hadn't a clue that people went out and danced to that shit, I thought it was like avant-garde, fucking experimental sort of jazz music or some shit like that. I hadn't a clue that people were like, while I was sitting there listening to it on my headphones in a fucking tractor down in Kildare, that people were actually dancing to it over in London,
Again, my cousin was a huge influence. Lofty, his name is, a very good DJ. One of the tightest mixers I've ever seen. He kind of taught me how to mix when I was around 15, and I'm ever grateful for that actually. He's a good guy. So I just kind of wanted a sort of dose of this, do you know what I mean? And so I bought my own decks and started mixing. It was fairly kind of cheesy stuff back then that was big, the sort of hard house. A lot of people seem to start off with hard house when they buy decks.
And Colin Daly came up to me after to show me how to mix. He'd been mixing on Technic
He
for a couple of years.
He showed me how Ross had to mix as well.
He called up to me, Gaff and Blanche, into my bedroom, knocked on the door. Hey, is Paul there? Yeah, I'm here to show him how to DJ. Brought me upstairs and he was going, alright, on the
legs.
Fucking brilliant. He taught you 2 years how to mix as well.
Well, no, he didn't really teach us, he just explained.
Showed you? Yeah.
It's all 4/4. Even the break.
Everything, yeah, I know. I went into, in London, what was that record shop? Nicky Blackmark. Walked downstairs, this is 1995, walked downstairs, it was packed, real loud, loads of black dudes, like loads of black geezers, and I was just kind of got through it, like, this is fucking brilliant. Got up to the counter, Nicky Blackmark had some other DJ behind, and they got around over to me and said, yeah, can I help you, mate? And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for that Skippy Jungle. And then he went, what? I went, the Skippy Jungle. And he started breaking his box laughing. And he pulled down the music. The whole fucking shop turned around. Hey, check out. Say it again, mate. And I just went, Skippy fucking Jungle. That's what I'm looking for. And he started breaking his box. Oh, I think I know what you mean. And then he started handing me all the jump up stuff, But the place just fell apart laughing. I was saying, you fucking bastards. So that was my introduction into buying jungle.
Mully. Right. Everyone loves Mully. Did he tell you the story about Skippy Jungle?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've heard that? Okay, that's sums Mully up.
At the time we were playing on Jazz FM. Dublin had a big pirate radio station scene back in the day. Had a big pirate scene in the 80s and then they clamped down on it, then it slowly came back. But obviously it was illegal, but they didn't enforce it too much, so pirate radio was brilliant for that. For music like us, playing drum bass jungle, where none of the main stations or main clubs wanted about to do it, so.
Most people that I know who became DJs probably got into the music, got into club music, dance music, drugs, whatever, all around the same time, started going to clubs, dancing, then maybe had more interest in their mates and bought a lot of tunes because they thought they would like to play it out. I kind of just fell into it more because I was just buying the records, didn't really consider that I'd be a DJ. I just had to own this music, and it was the only way to get hold of it because, obviously pre-internet, you couldn't even get tapes here really, off the music in the UK.
Kiva was able to get BBC Radio 1 through his television, through cable link or something. I can't remember how, but we started listening to be able to get One the Jungle on a Friday night. Oh man, that was just amazing because you just wait for Friday night so you could listen 10 to 12, BBC Radio 1, One the Jungle, MC Navigator hosting this show where, Christ almighty, every week, like, I still have the tapes, like Ronnie Size would be on doing a mix. They did a mix for an hour, right? And then they had an hour of top 10 countdown, they'd have the top 10 tunes from Eastern Bloc Records in Romford, Boogie Time Records, Manchester, I heard all of that show. It's like, oh man, this was, for me, hearing this music was just unbelievable. Like, these are amazing tunes. What is that tune? When's that coming out? The only place you could even go in and talk to somebody about that was Outlaw Records. You go in to Outlaw Records and there'd be lads hanging around, like Nuggy, Gold Maverick would be behind the counter the odd time, because they're all mates, them lads. And of course, a lot of them, Ross, Mully, Shane, they knew each other. They had a little crew going.
I located the place in Dublin to buy that music, which was Outlaw Records at the time, the main place for me, run by a chap called Neil Brownlee. And I started going there and met Don Roscoe in there, who was working there.
And Outlaw Records was one shop in Dublin that was ran by kind of normal lads like us, who you could talk to. All the other record shops at the time, I think, were Freebird, who just didn't know what dance music was. What was Billy's shop? The big huge house. Abbey Discs. They were getting in all the just normal house stuff. Music Power, which was over in the south side.
No, they're in Merchants Arch.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Music Power. But really, Outlaw was the only place where you could get records. Good records.
But just to talk to people in the shop, have you heard this tune, have you heard that tune, when's this coming out, will you order that in for me, I got a white label. That was just beautiful, you know.
Yeah, I worked in Comet and Tag, and then I set up Selector and Temple Bar, 2 different locations. Selector was really good for a while. When we were in that little shack in Crown Alley, kind of felt like a reggae store in, you know, back of Jamaica or something like that. It really was this tiny little corridor, and but the rent was so cheap, you know, and everyone bought records those days. And you'd talk to the person behind the counter, and you'd hear about gigs, and everything was kind of, it was more it might not be more friendly, there probably wouldn't have been as many arguments as there are these days, but there was a continuous interaction of people. These days, you see everything on the internet, you hear everything on the internet. You don't go to your record shop, you get a white label in your bedroom quicker than a DJ that plays out every week, because he runs down to his record shop. And because the internet record shop is selling more than black market records, they get more white labels than black market records do.
I think it's important to still buy vinyl and keep labels. You put out vinyl. If everyone went digital and stopped buying vinyl, then we wouldn't have a vinyl scene anymore, and that would break my heart to think that that's going to happen down the line. But
I don't think vinyl will ever disappear. This argument's been going on for the last 20 years, as far as I'm concerned.
It took the whole personality out of the scene, the whole interaction out of the scene, and I think the chemical records, killed drum bass in quite a way. Then MP3s killed drum bass in a different way. But I'm sure it'll evolve into something else, and 50 years down the line, or I don't know if drum bass will still be there in 50 years, but it will evolve into something else, and the MP3 culture and the whole internet culture will just make a different scene.
Scratching. I love scratching records, man. I love getting hold of a sound and making new sounds. I don't know, it's just addictive.
MP3 versus vinyl, something to talk about. It's vinyl all the way, I mean, MP3s, people like them, they're very convenient, they've got 1,000,001 good things about them, but they're just not for me. And I've heard all the arguments, and they're pretty convincing arguments a lot of the time, and I can't really argue with them. But at the end of the day, I love vinyl. That's really it. I like the tactile feel of it. I'm used to it. I love buying a vinyl with the sleeve, the artwork, everything. It means something. And I remember Rohan saying something to me one time when I was thinking about selling some tunes, and he pointed out a very good thing, which was that you should never sell your vinyls, because no matter how bad you think they are, they will always remind you of a particular time in your life.
A retro sound is making a comeback. Vinyl.
Vinyl, man, there's something cosmic about having a disc. It's like a galactic spiral, do you know what I mean? You're freaking these fucking cosmic codes. Like the whole digital thing is cool and all. You could wax lyrical about the whole vinyl versus MP3. My personal preference is vinyl, because it's a never-ending supply of crazy breaks and grooves. You'll never ever exhaust the vinyl that's out there. So
MP3 versus vinyl, man, you can't run a sniff in the back of a fucking MP3. You can't hang an MP3 on your fucking wall. You know? What am I meant to do with an MP3? Okay, imagine I have a job. I spend all day long fucking sitting in a call center or an insurance office or a IT job. What am I doing with? I'm sitting in a comfortable office chair with like shit office coffee next to me, moving my mouse around, getting eye strained in the computer, fucking about with files. The last thing I fucking want to do on a weekend is mucking about with fucking files, you know?
I like to go to the effort of bringing vinyl to like a club, and it's a much more it's a much more tactile. There's something about a piece of vinyl that beats anything, you know.
Like a good example would be kind of what's happening in Limerick at the minute. Like in Limerick for years, like I've got a good few friends down there, kind of Limerick and Cork, and like in Limerick for years there was always a big kind of band scene. You know, there wasn't, as far as I can see from like my friends down there wasn't a massive kind of and like amount of DJs and producers up in the past like few years. Like it's gotten really big. Like I know so many people DJing and producing down there and doing very well doing it. But the trouble is with Limerick is that there's no record stores in Limerick. I think there was one called Black Spot for a while, like, but for the most part, like there's nowhere to buy vinyl. And on top of that, there's no work in Limerick. Like a lot of people are on dole, no one has any money. So even if they did have the money to buy records, like it's an absolute luxury. So I do know people that do play purely digital down there. Like if they could, they'd buy vinyl, but they can't. Like, you know, they just don't have the means.
So there was no media to tell you about what the culture was like. But one thing I picked up was that a lot of the DJs who play that music tended to have invented names, monikers, you know, titles, whatever.
And I think he was putting pressure on everybody going, it can't be, this is Paul Mulligan and Power FM. And we sounded like a couple of white blokes, you know, from Dublin, which we were. So we had to do something. And you were on it, everybody's doing it. You can't be fucking calling yourself Paul Mulligan or John.
It wasn't just DJ, you know, Johnny P or what have you. House DJs always use their real name. I think they imagine there's a kind of classy thing about that, like, you know, Paul Oakenfold or whatever.
There was an ad on selling fertiliser years ago in the 80s, and it was AAA Golden Maverick.
Spaghetti Western.
Yeah, in a spaghetti Western style. And it was AAA Golden Maverick fertiliser. Get rid of ringworm. And we thought, perfect, I'll be AAA, you be Golden Maverick. That's it.
I was always into history, and I came across some mention of mention of Greek fire, this inflammable kind of early napalm used by the Saracens to fight the Crusaders. This white fire you couldn't put out with water, you know. So I quite like the sound of that, and took naphtha from naphthalene, and I like the way as well it ended in an A. Because there was something ambiguous about it, almost like usually you think female names end in an A. And I'd really got into the idea that Aphrodite, I'd call himself Aphrodite, he's like the Greek goddess of love, and if this bloke who's like this kind of, alright, English bloke, you know, Aphrodite, you know. And I just thought there was something amusing about how that upset expectations, you know. Naphtha had this kind of strange, you know, Greek goddess sound to it or something, so I went with that.
What about your DJ name?
My DJ name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't have to think of one.
Executive Steve came to me. I came to it.
We were putting together a flyer for the first local night or whatever, and just looking through words of whatever had some sort of meaning of putting things together, or, you know, so yeah, just picked that in haste.
What does it mean?
I'm gonna Google it.
It's good to have a name that would consist of your own name as well. I don't know, I just think that, you know, maybe your name, your first name and your surname, but that would be a bit too boring. So I'd say a bit of a combination of both, I'd say.
And you'd never thought of just using your own surname and forename now?
Not my surname, because then I would never get a gig. No, that's too difficult to pronounce.
And what is your surname?
Szczepańska. So, no, definitely not.
The arsonist started, well, like before I started DJing, man, I used to just go to parties, and like where I grew up, a lot of the parties were in the desert, so all outdoors, and I would usually get pretty pretty faded and would end up lighting fires all over the place, bonfires. I usually come with a can of gasoline, so before I was DJing, they used to call me the arsonist when it came to partying and whatnot, and then it just carried on to the DJ name, you know what I mean? It was the first thing I thought of when I first started playing, because I actually got forced upon the decks at a party. Like, you know, that was the first time I touched them, you know, so you know, everyone was just shouting, oh, the arsonist and all that shit, but yeah, that was it.
It's something that I just thought of when I was 17, as in Class A eggs and Class A cigarettes and everything, just meaning top quality. And then obviously just recently I decided to change the quality mark just because it has a nice ring to it.
Do you like quality street sweets?
They're not bad, prefer roses.
I christened quality mark. Man's called Mark, man brings quality, call him quality mark.
So very important to pick the right name, and it's only getting harder and harder in some ways because there's been so many names used.
What's the best name you've heard?
Photech. Photech. It's just brilliant. It means nothing and everything, you know. It's just, it has an attitude about it. I've always loved that name. No, Dillinger's great as well, even though it was used as a reggae name before. You know, it's a brilliant name. Ed Rush, brilliant. You do think of old school raves, you know, but it also stands out as, that's brilliant.
Yeah, what's the longest period of time you held on to any one job?
3 years.
8 years. 8 years. Far too long for any fucking job.
I was a restaurant manager for 2 years in England, and then I couldn't stick it anymore, so I just thought I'd change and try and start off in something where I can use my brain instead of relying on my feet, you know.
Yeah, so I kind of work on the internet, you know, network kind of engineer now. Really shit when like that.
Yeah, man, this is still a job. I've been working here since I moved here, man. It's Connected Ink and Temple Bar. It's a good tattoo shop, man. I like it. I just like the way I network with people. It's a real social job.
Well, I mean, I've 2 jobs really. I do I do a lot of radio documentaries, you know, and I'm a teacher as well. Primary school kids up in Cherry Orchard in Dublin, disadvantaged area in Dublin. Enjoy that, you know. Do a radio show with the kids. Bring them down to a community radio station in Ballyfermot every week. Do a show with them. I teach them how to read. You know, I bring music into that when I can, and I enjoy that.
So I ended up just falling into insurance really, and so that just continued on since there. When I moved back over here, my next job was insurance for Quinn Direct, and then after that was the Capital Insurance Brokers. I was there for 7 years, and then now I am where I am now, like, you know, down in Sandymount.
I try myself out of bed at 8:25. I leave the house at 8:30. I arrive work at 10 to 9. I start work at 9. I kind of potter around the place for a bit. I work at a shop. I work in retail. Anyone who's ever worked in a shop will tell you, man. It's not the toughest job in the world, but it's definitely not the easiest job. Like, you know, you deal with people all day. I don't mind dealing with people. Like, sometimes it can be funny, sometimes it can be hard. Like, you know, a bit of manual labour, but it's a bit of a slog. Like, you know, we're doing it in the same place for about 5 years now. Like, and it starts to just get a bit monotonous after a while. Like, you know, I just wouldn't exactly call it a very rewarding job. Again, anyone who's ever worked in a shop will tell you the same kind of thing, man. Like, unless you're upper management level or anything, man, there's not really a lot of rewards in it. Like,
I've been here 3 years now, and I have to say I absolutely love it to bits. You know, it's like a second family. The people I work with here, you know, they're great crack. Loads of friends here, you know, proper friends. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just great. I find it really rewarding. You know, you're helping people have a good time. It's the same as DJing. You know, it's. I just find that rewarding, you know, giving people an experience. It's the same way in the restaurant as it is when I'm on a pair of turntables, you know. It's just giving people a rewarding experience and seeing the smile on their faces, which is a real feel-good factor. And, you know, I kind of realise that I'm never going to make $1 million out of either DJing or this restaurant, but I don't mind really, you know, because I'm enjoying life a bit too much really to care about that.
Yeah, some people are saying, oh, it must be deadly, you know, just going around to all these mad parties and setting up sound and all, and it's just kind of going, yeah, I get it. Obviously I get a buzz after when the party's going right and, you know, the DJs are playing really good. But yeah, just just financially to keep it going is really, really tough, you know.
What's the hardest thing about just running this? Is it the loans? Is it?
Yeah, just basically, trying to keep up with the loans, you know. So, because I was working like doing carpentry and stuff, so, but that really slowed down, so I really became dependent on gigs. But on the other hand, it's sort of grown for me as well, so, I've just become busier at it, so.
Synergy is the fucking dawn, the man, the soldier, backbone, the fibre, you know? You look pretty fucking stupid standing playing records in a room or a tent full of 1,000 fucking people on fucking, FM radio alarm on fucking speakers, you know? Without someone dedicating themselves to the craft of making shit fucking loud as they fucking can, clear as they can, carrying this system around from place to place, taking fucking loans out to build this and construct this, you know? To provide a platform for fucking heads to play on, you know? The amount of work, I can't even conceive of the amount of work that he put in to make that shit fucking happen. The guy's a legend.
Collie Synergy, not only DJing wise, but also lugging the big rig around the gaff as well, like to everywhere that he can go, or anywhere that'll take us.
Seems to be a lot of love and respect from the people we've spoken to about you. How do you feel about being considered the hardest working person in the scene?
No, I don't know.
Everyone.
Yeah, but it's a bit embarrassing really, like, just because I'm lifting sound and all, it's kind of like, why are you saying that, you know? Like, obviously I'm promoting nights and doing stuff at festivals and that, but like, how can you evaluate, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
If you could give these people a message, what would you say?
Yeah, what would you say back to them? Keep believing it, pay me.
Photography is what I'm doing. I'm doing lots of photography. A lot of kind of landscape and black and white, kind of moody, kind of minimal, kind of landscape, fine art type stuff. I'm working for different businesses. I set up shops, or I do different kind of client-based works for magazines. I take what comes, but basically to pay the bills. But I'm focusing on my own special landscape work.
Whatever, some people do jobs that they don't like or whatever, and it's just a wage or whatever. So yeah, in a way, I'm happy that I get an opportunity to set up sound systems.
And was this always a consuming passion of yours, photography?
No, not at all. I started taking photographs when I moved to Barcelona, and it was mainly the architecture there that inspired me.
Was it filling your creative void, photography, when you missed the day-to-day operation of a record store?
Yeah, totally. I had lots of free time when I was in Barcelona. When I first went there, I was just working off DJing gigs around Europe, and I didn't have to get up and go into a record shop, so I had time to do things, and I started playing around with the camera. And my wife kind of said, what do you think about this? You're quite good at this kind of thing. So I went out and bought an SLR, and went onto a different forum, instead of Dogs and Acid or Irish Drum Bass.
And then I do a lot of radio work, radio documentaries, travel around the world doing them. First one I did was on a hip hop band in Dublin called Urban Intelligence from Ballymun. Did a radio documentary about them, went out North East, the Irish National Broadcaster. From there I just kept doing, did one on the IRA, did a few around the world. I was in Haiti last October doing one. I was in Malawi and Tanzania. Did one in Kenya 2 years ago, music related again. Took a rapper from Northside in Dublin and brought him over to a street kid in Nairobi, and they did a tune together. Whole documentary was focused on that. So I do that, and that's a labour of love, doesn't really pay the bills. I do. Teaching pays the bills. I went into that quite late. Went back to when I was 27 at night time to become a teacher, to train.
No, but I wasn't happy there at all, But ever since I've been out on my own, it's been a breath of fresh air and just freedom to do what I want, and maybe just give me some time. I'm not gonna I'm not going to be bummed for my whole life now. I'm obviously going to get back in the horse, but right now I'm very much focusing on this album. Hopefully, which will be finished in the next few months. You know, maybe hopefully tops 6 months. I have to get all the artwork together. I have to get, you know, the arrangement of the tracks together, and you know, it's going to be something quite a little special, I guess.
Everybody seems to be kind of stuck on a lot of people are bouncing off of college, man. A lot of people are bouncing off of college in other countries, man, to be honest. A couple of friends of mine are going over to the UK next year, like, yeah, no, there's, like, there hasn't been a massive downturn in everybody's attitudes, man, like, people generally try and keep a positive vibe about the place, like, but yeah, no, you see, there's people definitely dropping off, there's people skipping the country, you know, people can't find jobs. You know, it's definitely gotten a lot tougher out there, man. I mean, I remember when all the secession stuff hit the news, like, you know, a few years ago, and kind of look back and I thought it was like, you know, when am I actually going to see any evidence of this? But no, man, it's definitely there, man. It's happening, like. But, so yeah, so I'll hang on to my job for the moment, like.
The whole recession thing, I wouldn't know how it's affected drum bass or the scene in general. There's definitely a lot less people out in general. I've noticed that, regardless of what genre it's playing. Since I stopped working, I've made about 10 songs, and I realised they all kind of sounded good together as well, and I said, wait a sec, I could kind of make an album out of this, and that's what I'm working on now.
So talk us through your thoughts.
Well, it starts with the legs first. The legs are pretty much just the random bits and pieces. This is the one I have connected to the music. It was done by a tattoo artist upstairs. His son's 9 years old, and he did that for me. It was a pair of headphones.
Last job, I was an insurance broker for building companies. We insured some of the largest builders in the country. So whilst, you know, the boom was happening in the Celtic Tiger, you know, we were getting huge insurance premiums for the amount of construction work going on. But you know, that started to die off, and it was a sign that business was coming down. But nobody suspected or foresaw like the recession the way it did crash.
Recession and underground culture go hand in hand. I mean, things have never been as good. The minute a bank started to drop, the bank's share price started to drop. Like, I mean, drum and bass in Dublin just went through the roof. I mean, everything just went through the roof. I mean, people are interested again, you know, because don't ask me to explain it. Maybe having money in people's pockets makes people really lazy and makes people just sit at home getting stoned every day watching shit DVDs in Hollywood. I don't know. But as soon as there was a hell of a lot more pressure on people's pockets, people started going out and having a lot more fun on a tighter budget.
That was done just a couple days ago. The chest was just done by a friend of mine. And then this tattoo here was actually done by a good friend of mine, actually involved in the drum and bass scene. He did this tattoo, and then the next morning he flipped his car 8 times and is now like a paraplegic. And it's not even finished, but I won't let anyone finish it until, well, I just won't let anyone finish it, period, you know?
So it's got a lot of personal significance, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, man, definitely. Definitely does.
Certification of the Heaney Quality Mark, aka Class A and Short Radio Lift at KDJ Punk and Car FM. Officers and workers Nick Fury, August Degree. When the Clara and Trummer Fad.
Learned Irish when I was around 7. My dad taught us Irish in the family, me and my younger brother. So by the time we got to 11, or within a few years, we were pretty fluent. At that age, you pick it up really quickly. And then we spoke Irish as a first language at home. I just sent him an email. I heard that another DJ in Dublin was doing a radio show on here, and I just sent him an email saying that I could speak fluent Gaelic, and I was DJing for whatever number of years, and would be interested in letting me do a show on the radio. You know, one thing I enjoy is seeing other people that are into the music, as I say, and there's not that many of us in Ireland, and you know, it's great to form friendships with people that have been into the music years, just like myself, and it's great to give them an opportunity to, you know, show their skills and show what they can do. And you know, it's clear to me within, you know, a few minutes if someone can mix or not. And you know, if someone can put a few mixes together, I fully enjoy giving them a chance to show that on the show and gain some valuable experience.
Yeah, like, I mean, he gave me my first shot, like, on the radio, probably about 5 years ago now at this stage, man.
Very good.
And yeah, man, it was terrible, but like, Mark was grand, he put up with it fine. Like.
So that was your first actual
playing
to a live audience?
Yeah, it was the first time that the public was exposed to me playing rugby.
He was the guy who gave me my first gig on the radio, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, Mark. Yeah, Mark's cool. He's doing his thing a long time. You know, I still listen to his show the odd time. If I'm in the car, I'm riding on a lift.
Yeah, you're doing it for the love of music and your passion in the music itself, you know, and you know, hopefully passing that knowledge on to other people, and maybe people that haven't heard the music before might come across the station and listen in. And I've gotten emails off people, and the station's received emails complimenting the drum and bass shows. If you enjoy something, doing something, it doesn't really seem like work, you know, and that's if you can find something like that, like a hobby you enjoy doing, you know, on a regular basis, and it's been a great opportunity for me to do this show.
It's all about the scene. It's all about enjoying what you love, really, like, and the crowd and having the buzz with your friends and people you don't know is all just a big part of it. Like,
me and the music, hopefully the future holds something, you know, nice enough. You know, I'm not looking to be the next Goldie or anything like that. I'm far from it. I don't even think I have the capability of doing that, you know. But you know, just make even the smallest dent, you know. And as I said, if someone, you know, other than me is listening to it, I feel I've succeeded. You know what I mean?
Jesus, when you hear somebody who's got a bit of depth to them, you know what I mean, you just go, well, they'll drop a big one, you know it's going to come, like, you know what I mean. If they're just making clown music or something, you go, pat them on the head and go, well done, keep going.
The way I see it, I've spent years and years and years buying, supporting, fighting for this music, enduring crushing defeats, crushing fucking disappointments. For me to be able to have the opportunity to fucking scratch my name in the bark of this fucking tree of fucking music, you know? So that some fucker will read it in 10 years' time and fucking go, I wonder who that was. You know, that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to achieve any level of permanence.
Aiming for the top, man. Always, man. Because if you're not aiming for the top, you're not gonna even get close. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same. It's just the idea of it. You don't pretend, like, if you act like you're the best, other people will see that and they'll see that. So you strive to, like, do as best as you can, promote the best parties you can, and if, you know, you're hitting below the bar, at least your bar is set high.
Like, I mean, ever since, like, as far as I remember, like, it's always been good, you know what I mean? Sometimes people struggle for venues and stuff, but the thing about it is there's enough people, there's enough dedicated soldiers, you know what I mean? I mean, the likes of this festival, like, Tuxer, that puts it on, like, Synergy. He's the, like, king of the soldiers, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't make much money from this, or if any, like, but he puts his back into it. As long as there's people like Tuxer and the likes of yourselves, you know what I mean, doing this kind of stuff, and all the DJs and promoters and all that kind of stuff, is always going to be nice to go to, and that's the main thing, like, you know what I mean? It's always going to be good.
We were underestimated, and I'm going to kind of use an example here, in the whole Irish drum bass scene. if you counted the amount of records we sold and Calibre sold, we would have outsold every other dance music together when we were out there. We were shifting units that people in Ireland just weren't, you know, they just weren't getting close.
We want to thank everyone for coming down here tonight. 10 years standing strong. We'll see you for the next 10 years. Much love to the dance hall. Make some noise for yourselves, people. Yes, sir.
And I think, I don't know what we ended up selling, you know, in total, right? But I think we had over 100 tunes pressed on vinyl. And Calibre at that time, like, I'm talking about 2007, 2008. Between just Bassman and one artist in Northern Ireland, now obviously a very big artist in Calibre, you could add up all the house sales, all the techno sales, all the hip hop sales, you know, all the left beat, break beat, add them all together and they wouldn't have sold as many records as us. So, you know, and, you know, when the awards come along, they're all hobnobbing together of the spirit, whatever, you know, drum and bass just, you know, probably left back and switch, not even invited. So,
Underestimated.
yeah.
I don't know, in fairness, like, you know, I think back when things were really good for us, and we were getting like, there was times we were getting 2 gigs, 2-3 gigs a week, maybe, you know, for a while. You know, you playing down in Limerick and then playing in Dublin and playing here, playing there. You make a bit of money out of it, you know, not a lot though. You would have made a lot more money working in a job full time during the week. Do you know what I mean? You know, would have made a lot more money if I'd spent that time doing other stuff, but that's what I wanted to do. But money, no, never. Okay. Nor was that ever an aspiration for me.